Mike coming to you from Big Bear Lake. It's that time for our question and answer session. First question of the day from B-Mac. I'll be fishing Big Bear next week on election day. Any suggestions on where I should fish from shore? And what lures and baits do you recommend? Good question. So, Big Bear is fishing. Obviously, you guys are going to see a report if it's not already out. It's fishing pretty well. I recommend fishing the east side of the lake and northwest shore, maybe about halfway between Windy Point and the Red House. Those are the areas I recommend the most. Pick your spot. I mean, anywhere is probably pretty good, actually. I don't think the Red House would be too bad, but it's just going to be a little more crowded. So if you don't mind dealing with a bunch of people, hit the Red House, get there early. But otherwise, try the east side. Baits, I recommend mice tails. Stick with mice tails right now. They seem to be really liking that, and it's a good option. Or gulp eggs. If you do, use the light colored eggs. Don't go with red. Go with pink, white, maybe a yellow, some along those lines. Carolina rig, 2-foot leader. All right, next question. All right, second question. It is from David F. What do you think about rod angle when fighting a fish? I think common advice is to hold it up high, but sometimes I feel like it makes the fish want to jump. So I agree with most sentiment. You want that rod tip up. The reason why, because that allows the rod to give it the suspension that the rod is intended to do. That's the whole point of a fishing rod. It's kind of like a giant shock absorber, and you want that fishing rod to do that work for you. However, to keep the fish from coming up too fast, that's where you are to adjust your drag accordingly. You don't want the drag too tight, so you let the rod and the drag kind of work in unison to keep the fish down in the water column, but use the rod to control the fish, and let that rod suspension help you out. Question from Mike McKissick. Why are you so proficient in fishing and your brother is so inefficient? How do you overcome his lack of skill? Good question, Mike. So basically, if you don't have somebody that's bad at fishing with you, then how do you ever look good at fishing? So there you go. A question of the day we'll answer on this session is, how do you keep your power bait when you're rolling it like a worm from flying off the line and wind like this, or in a condition where you want to cast far? So the way to do that, let me get this adjusted. So the way to do that is, let's say we'll roll it. So here's your setup, right? You want the line to be this way in there. You don't want the line to be this way. So the hook shouldn't be, the line should not be coming out from the side. Why? Because when you throw it, it's going to bend like that, and your bait's going to come, your hook's going to come out, and you'll lose that setup. So don't do that. You want the hook in the main ball of it, so right there, and the line to be coming out this way. And even tug on the line a little bit to ensure that, and if you have to, fold it over onto that a little better and just kind of go around it a little more. And so you end up with something like that. So yeah, just make sure it's all in line. You don't want that. So what happens when you cast it, it's going to go flying through the air like that, directional. You don't want the bait to be flying through the air this way. You want it to go through the air that way.